Hey, what's going on?
What's up, everybody?
It is Thursday, which means it is Brother Empowerment Day.
Show is.
Yep.
I guess they're gonna say like the third time the charm, because we've been trying to do this thing for the longest, but they wouldn't let us be great. Only thing that I want to do is check and make sure the sound is working properly. Okay, so we're on.
Yeah, we good.
So that's good. So we're gonna try this again, right?
Because Facebook always seems to have technical difficulties right after an update. Never fails. Never fails.
Well, with that being said, bro, how was your weekend?
Ladies first.
I mean, week. She's the guest too, though. You know how we always do. You breaking the rules. Oh, just because you're being partial.
How?
We always talk about our week,
We are.
and then we introduce our guest.
I'm a guest.
Oh,
See?
Okay, all right. Excuse me, I'm messing up. My bad, breaking the flow of things. So
Yeah, just messing up the whole tradition. I know you partial, but great.
okay. So, all right. So, excuse me. So, my week has actually been pretty good.
I don't want to know about your week no more, to be honest.
Shoot.
Okay, I'll listen a little bit.
So, before I was really interrupted, my week has been pretty good, bro. It's also been a week of discovery. So, and I really had I've had a couple moments this week where I've had to really just sit down and just take account of what's going on in my life as far as emotionally and where I'm at on my my path to self-improvement. And just I've had conversations with myself, had conversations with you. So it's been a really good week, and it's been a really introspective week. So, but overall, man, I'm very happy with how this week has been thus far. What about you?
Equally, this week has been it's been a lot of highs and lows. There have been no in between.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of tough conversations that I did not anticipate having.
Yeah.
I had a lot of excitement and a lot of great news that we are going to share with you guys in a minute. But before we do that, we have someone who's extremely special.
Oh yeah.
Who's amazing. Who actually helped us start this organization.
She's so wonderful.
Co-founder, my lovely wife, Lalita Garnett.
Hi, everyone.
That's my sister.
Look, and Tashia said, sister, love you, look beautiful. And the whole time she been critiquing herself, the whole time while the camera been there. So you already know how it goes. I don't know why she be acting up. But there's a lot of information that I have to share if I can get this together. There you go.
Got it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so the very first thing is, this is a whole bunch of great things, guys. The very first thing is the Love is a Parable training manual is out.
Yes.
Get that.
Everybody has been asking, like, what makes us so different? What is our learning paradigm is about? Well, you got that opportunity to check it out for yourself. But also, we would love for you to be in the class. But if you're not quite ready to join the class, you definitely can purchase the curriculum, check it out, and see if it's something that you definitely would like to attend, because we would love to have you.
Can you show them a copy?
Fresh,
Off the press.
off the press, out the box.
Yes.
Here you go. Yeah. And then the other thing is, I just re-released my book that actually tomorrow will be the 8th year anniversary of the release of my first book, Random Thoughts, Phases of a Poetic Mind. So I re-released that, and now it's in paperback. So those who have been asking me, who've come to the different poetry shows and things like that, this is your opportunity to take it home. But it's still available on Kindle, so you decide which one you want to do. And then we got another thing that's happening.
Okay.
February 24th is our Junior Advocate Kickoff.
Oh yes.
This is a great opportunity for our kids to become love advocates, to learn about us, to get connected, to get engaged. And I'm so excited about our planning meeting and our kickoff. You want to be there because it's going to be some exciting things. We definitely want to introduce you to the Junior Advocate leadership team. So we're excited because it's not us leading it, but we're also excited because Lita and our daughter and Cordell's niece Lalita Garnett, which is our youngest, actually came up with this.
Yes, she did.
And so now she has us going to work. The next thing, on February 29th, if you haven't had an opportunity, you need to go ahead and sign up, because Love is a Parable is offering a special course down at Fayetteville Tech. So all the people that are in the Fayetteville area who said you can't make it to the Raleigh area, Hope Mills, of course Fayetteville, Lumberton, anywhere over there, Red Springs, all of you, if you're even in Clinton, come on up, because this is definitely a treat. But there is limited classes, limited seats, so you definitely want to make sure you make your way over there. Okay? Not through. March.
Yeah.
Love is a Parable is actually going to be at the Power Plus weekend. That is actually an opportunity where we're going to talk about the things that are often taboo: love, sex, and relationships. And so they definitely want to have us in there to talk about love, because you know what people do. They confuse love with sex or love with a relationship. And then in March, we're going to have our second annual Brother Empowerment Cookout.
Yes.
We're going to release it. We're just waiting to finalize a few things with the caterer and also the venue. But as soon as we release that, we want you guys to sign up. Because this year, we're not playing. 2020, we're going to be trying to do things all year to engage and empower our community.
Absolutely.
Things have been working so wonderfully on the administration side. We can't tell you all the good news, but it has been some good news, and it has been some great things that are going to empower us to better serve our community. So I'm excited.
Very excited.
I am too.
I am super duper excited.
Not just because of the food.
I think you're more excited because of the food.
No,
But we know the
man.
food is going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, that goes without saying.
Okay, look, we got Tashia on.
Hey, Tashia.
Hey,
We got
sis.
Nichelle on.
Hey, Nichelle.
Hey, Michelle.
We got my mama on.
Hey,
Hey,
Mom.
Mom.
And yep, everybody say hey, hey. Let me see who else we got on. We got Isaiah on.
What's up, Isaiah?
Hey.
Never come to see us. Yep.
Only talk about other stuff. And then we got Dominique on.
What's up, Dominique?
Hey, Dominique.
Isaiah talking about he gonna try to come this year.
Oh, okay.
We got Uncle Marcus on.
Hey, what's up, Uncle?
Uncle Marcus, what's going on? So, I know it's been a while, Lita. It's hot down here. I got this heat on because my wife be super cold.
That's why I got my sweater.
I'm like sweating. So, we
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
he love it because both of them like it at 90 degrees. And so if I start sweating, I'm just gonna leave.
No, we just don't like it at 60.
Shut up.
Right.
So, let's get into it. The very first discussion that I'm actually wanting to do is not one from, it actually is one from last week, but it didn't make it here, but it made its way to my inbox. So a brother asked this question and said, you know what, can you guys just talk about it? Because I want to figure out the best way to deal with this situation. So he wanted us to talk about the importance of fathers being in their sons' lives and how it could really impact their life if the father is not present. And also, should the father whose son doesn't live in his home be the one to reach out well, it's supposed to be reach out to the father, or should the father reach out to his sons? The responsibility to reach out, should it be on the father or should it be on the son? So how do you deal with the father not being in your life? But then how you deal with the father that has other sons, but they're in the home with them, you're outside of the home. Should I reach out or should the father reach out?
I mean, I'm not a father, Jay, so you want to tackle this one first?
But you're a son.
You and your logic.
You thought.
So, okay. So, as far as the question of what was the first part of what was the first part of that question?
The importance of a father being in your life.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so of course a father definitely needs to be in his son's life. I mean, a child, period, has their best chance with both parents, in my opinion, in their lives. Now, there's just certain things that no matter how dope and how versatile and how just knowledgeable a mother is, there's just certain things that she will not be able to teach her son. It's not gonna be the same, and it's not gonna be the same coming from her as a mother and as a woman. There are certain things that only a father can teach his son. And so it is extremely important that the father be in his son's life. I can't even, extremely is not even it's not even the best word for that. There's just, it's very, very important. I can't stress that enough. So, and as far as the son being out of not living with his father and having other sons, I've experienced that personally. I was raised by the person that I call my dad is not my biological father. I have 3 other siblings that I didn't grow up with, that I met 2 years ago. So I did not grow up with those siblings. I am the oldest, but I did not grow up with them. So I met them 2 years ago.
It's been 2 years?
Yeah, it's been 2 years. So I met them 2 years ago, and my biological father was not in my life. So I know I have a very organic experience with that. As far as the reaching out, I believe that it is the father's duty to reach out, being that he is the one who brought his son or sons into this world. That being said, when I met my siblings, I have 2 other brothers and a sister. So 4 siblings total. One of which I grew up with, the other 3 I did not. When I met my siblings, my other siblings, and talked to my biological father, I was the one who made that connection happen. I did pretty much all the work. And I did it because it needed to be done, and I felt like that connection wasn't going to happen if I didn't do it. But I felt that my biological father needed to do it, and I told him as such, I felt that he took the easy way out by letting me do it.
So why did you reach out? Did you reach out because you wanted to know your father, or was it more of the siblings?
I reached out because I wanted to know my siblings, because our parents will not always be here, and when they have transitioned and passed on, we'll be the ones left. So I wanted my siblings to know that they have their older brother loves them and wants to have a connection to them. And we're being perfectly frank, I didn't really care that much about the connection with my biological father. I have a dad who raised me, so the connection to my biological father was not really all that important to me.
It was about your sibling.
Right.
And I guess for me, the first 6 years of my life, my mom was married to my dad. And when my dad was in the house, like, he was a dope dad. He was like my best friend, man. But as soon as my mom and my dad got a divorce, it's like he divorced the whole family. He was like, forget all y'all. And so the relationship with me and my dad, it just dwindled. Like, the relationship I had with him as a child, I tried to find it, like, through adolescence and also through my teenage years and even through my young adult years, but it just wasn't there. And one of the things that I had to accept was I appreciated the 6 years that were great. But I also, which is tough for a lot of people, I also had to realize that if he didn't want to be a father, it wasn't my responsibility to make him one. And so I accepted. I was 29 years old, maybe 30, when I finally accepted, hey, if my father doesn't want to be a father, that's his decision and I don't have to accept it. Once I realized that it was his decision, it's like something came over me, like all emotion, all feelings left. Because here's the kicker. In the 11th grade, the guy that I call my father isn't my biological father, but he took me in the 11th grade. I still have the original bank account he showed me about, showed me how to check my book. Anytime I need him, he's there. So it's like, sometimes it's like the father knows that they're not a good father, and then it's like the whole world will send you what you need to say, you know what, he may have not stepped in, but you do have a father. And it took me a minute to realize, like, I didn't immediately call my dad, the one I call my dad, Dad. It took me a long time to realize, and I was like, what am I talking about? I got a dad. And then when I went off to college, I got another dad. And to this day, he's who both of the dads my kids know as Grandpa. What they call him, Pop Pop. Both of them. But they have, yep, Pop and Pop Pop. Papa Luda, and Pop Pop. They have that. They have the grandfather. I have the fathers. I have 2 dads that I can call on. I have several mothers. So it ended up just being a great thing for me. And I will say to them, like, sometimes we can't focus on what we don't have and focus more on what we do have. And if you look around, you'll probably see there are several people stepping in to support and give you exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything you want to add?
No, I'm not a son.
I'm about to kick her off the show. I just want to let y'all know she get on my nerves, man. Goodness gracious. Let's see who else. What's the other one? Okay, the discussion was resilience amongst black men. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a bit vague and open-ended. So I will only say that, you know, as black men in this world, and the ones, I don't want to say this. Let me regather myself. Okay, so as far as resilience goes, first of all, being a black person in America takes resilience to go out here every day and just live in the world.
Right.
So, but we are focused. Since the topic was black men, we'll focus on that. So, being a black man in this world, you know, it does definitely take resilience, because you go out into the world and you deal with all the pressures and all the stereotypes and all of the pitfalls that await you out in the world. And then also, you're also still a man. So, in society here in the U.S., especially here in the U.S., you have to deal also with the stereotypes and pitfalls of being a man. You're not really allowed to show your emotions. You're expected to really just take all the burdens. I'll call them burdens for lack of a better word, but take all the burdens of your family and put them on your back and handle them all, and really just put your head down and just keep going through all the obstacles. So I would say that it definitely takes resilience, and I will say that sometimes that resilience is not always there. Sometimes we falter. Sometimes we not break under pressure, but we bend a little.
Well, let me ask you this: Is it challenging? Is it difficult?
Being a black man in the world?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is difficult. It is challenging.
I guess, and to that point, I would say that that's also what makes us resilient.
Right.
Like, even when people say we're not handling it well, any day that you're above ground, you actually are showing some level of resiliency. I will say this, it's a meme that went out, and it's true to also being a black man. They say being black is dangerous, but it's lit.
Yeah, I see that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But that's the same thing for being a black man. Like, it's dangerous, but it is lit. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of things that are great about being us. We don't know where the survival instinct comes. Mm-hmm. So if you really think about it, like, it's something innate in us to survive and not to buckle under pressure, in a sense of, yes, we may have a poor attitude or may not handle it the best, but our ability to survive that instinct is amazing to me. Yeah. That we're able to do that, because the unique thing about being a person of color, especially being a black man across the world, we all have the same experiences.
Right.
So, and across the world, for some strange reason, we experience the same things, but at the same time, we're able to survive because we're still here.
Yes.
So when we talk about the resilience, I think that it's something innate, and it's something that we need to have in order to survive just day to day.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't know the pressure of, will I live today?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that constantly, plays in the back of my mind as a father. Like, what if I get mislabeled? Mm-hmm. Or what if somebody just assumed that I am one way just because, but at the end of the day, you learn how to survive and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So
I just want to read the next topic.
Oh, you wanted to?
Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
It'll be easier for me. So the second topic is critical mindedness. Black boys and young men continue to experience powerful, disproportionate inequities in the many areas, including health, education, employment, and housing. How can they develop their identities, and have you begun to work on your own critical mindedness? That's a lot. That's a whole lot.
Yeah, because thinking critically already takes a level of skill, but at the same time, thinking critically is, if you really think about it, this is one of the things I always tell people. Like, you can say that a young man who's a drug dealer, right? Mm-hmm. His ability to think critically, like the ability to dodge the police, mm-hmm. the ability to add and subtract and multiply on on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, that's really ingenious.
Right.
And to really think about the outcome of the situation. Yeah. See, a lot of times we look at the action of what they're doing and think, oh, you're not thinking critically. No, this is actually, I'm not saying go out there and sell drugs or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, imagine if you took that same person and put them in a science lab. Yep. Imagine if you took that same person and put them in a math capacity, whether it's accounting or whether it's being a researcher, learning statistics and all of that. The thing is, we do think critically.
I agree.
But I think it does come from a place of survival, just like the other question.
Yeah.
Because we already know all of the things that you list off. We're going to have health disparities. We know that there's going to be some type of financial disparity. We know that we're going to be discriminated against. We know that there's going to be some type of injustice. So a lot of them, by default, some of us try to persevere and do it on the straight and narrow. Some of them go another way, but at the end of the day, all of us want the same thing, and that's to survive and a place to stay.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Because we need more critical mindedness, mindedness.
Why do you feel like some of them have to feel like they have to go the other way?
I think it's survival.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, like, I'm a first generation college student. That can be a scary thing. Like, fortunately for me, I had the grades to compensate the debt. So I had a scholarship, but some people didn't.
Yeah, I didn't.
And so you can imagine, like, now, like, I ain't gonna tell you how long ago that was, but it was forever. But even now, like, I can imagine somebody going to school and trying to pay the loan that they're gonna pay, and they don't have anybody to help them. So what naturally happens? The street gets them. Some people learn about trades, but I can tell you, when I grew up, the education model changed. Like, it wasn't all about getting a certificate, getting a trade. It was going to school, getting a degree, and that's how you're supposed to do it. But by the time we both graduated with our masters, the education model changed again, and it went now back to getting a trade. So we would call, so get those certifications, and that's one of the things that we have to instill, because a lot of them don't know about certification, especially depending on where you are. Like, the state of Georgia didn't promote tech schools and things like that. But when I moved to South Carolina, a lot of them did. A lot of people in South Carolina, like, I met some people that already came with certification, so they already had a backup trade starting on their bachelor's degree because the schools did it. So. Isaiah said the street or working a job, paycheck to paycheck. Agreed.
And that right there, you know, there are certain folks that will say, you know, you have a job, you okay, you good, but working paycheck to paycheck is a literal struggle. I mean, it can be just as much of a struggle as being on the streets in some kind of illicit trade or illegal trade. You know, it could be the same kind of situation where you are having to figure out another way to make ends meet in some way because you are struggling. So I think it can be synonymous. Both things could, you know, they could be synonymous. That you could be paycheck to paycheck. It's almost the same struggle as being on the streets.
And I can tell you, like, transparency moment is when I left higher education as an executive director, I did try to run Love is a Parable for a minute, and so that didn't work. And then getting back in the job market, I didn't want to go back into education. I wanted to do something different, but finding that job in the interim, you talking about didn't sleep, because we were basically living off of savings. And then it got to a point that a lot of people don't even know. At the same time we're going out speaking, we're going out helping people, we're like, I don't know how we gonna eat, how we gonna pay these bills,
how we gonna get there.
Right, how are we gonna get there? I even had to consider bankruptcy or foreclosure on our homes. So and all of that stuff we're coming out of, but I couldn't imagine somebody who don't know, like, who knows about a loan modification, especially if you're a first-time homeowner. But fortunately, it was our second. This is our technically third, but this is our second home, so we knew about it. But going through that process and getting them the paperwork that they need, a lot of that is stressful, and a lot of people can't handle that type of stress. And especially then go to job. And then go to your job. Handling that type of stress, going to your job, being a servant, helping people, being available is rough.
Yeah.
And so if you're not instilling those into people, how will they know?
Yeah.
We tell people all the time, get you a trade, or we tell them, be an entrepreneur, but nobody's showing you how to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that firsthand. For 2 years, nobody showed me what I needed to do to help Love is a Parable stay afloat.
Mm-hmm.
It came by meeting, and meeting some people, and it took one person that actually helped us and pushed us in a different direction. So we got to do a better job as a community of embracing people and stop looking at people as your competition.
Yeah.
I mean, you would rather somebody suffer because they're your competition than to help them out so they won't struggle.
Yeah, just help one another.
Yeah, boy.
All right. Well,
Kind of slow with reading this. Hurry up.
no, I mean, I'd make sure we were done with the
Just
topic,
hurry
sir.
up, man.
You ain't supposed to be like this. Sis is here. You acting up.
You know what? I don't care what you have to say.
Give
So,
brother a break.
thank you.
Whatever.
So the next
I had a
topic,
whole week break.
the next topic is, I guess, embracing change, a command and a discussion. That sounds like a book title.
It does.
So I guess the command part is to embrace change, and I guess the discussion is how does one embrace change? Sis, you want to title that?
No, it's you need to embrace change.
That's the command part. The
Yeah.
discussion is we going. I got it, man.
Well,
Okay,
before you do that,
confuse me.
Darlene Hardy. Hey, Darlene, how you doing?
Darlene.
Darlene.
I used to work with her, so that's Darlene.
Hey, Darlene, how you doing? Why you had to just claim she's mine?
No, I just said.
Yeah, she's mine. I used to work with her. That's my coworker. Hey, Darlene, thank you for working with Cordell. We really appreciate it, but she said it's so true. And then Isaiah said, like crabs. One crab trying to get out the pot, the other one pulling them back down to stay with them. Yep, so Lita, you was about to answer your question?
Can you read that question again?
So it was.
You got equity?
It was
Embrace it.
It was
Embrace
embrace change, a command and discussion. So the command part was just to embrace change, and then the discussion part was, I guess, embracing change. How do you embrace change or cope with embracing change, all that good stuff.
I guess just definitely coming from working in healthcare and working in compliance over the years. I look at everything. Anything is always subject to change at any given moment. So, with me, like I am just always open. Which there are some people who have challenges and just have a hard time with change.
Oh, you had just stopped. I was like, I'm like, are you finished?
I'm finished.
She just stopped. That's it, done, and seen.
Period.
You spin on it first.
See, man. No,
I may come back. Okay.
Embracing change is a challenge in itself, and I also think it depends on. Now, embracing change, I think, is a necessary evil, just because not everything stays the same. Just even know whether you wanted to or not, and if things stayed the same, then there will be a lot of things that didn't happen. On the other end of that, I think that there are certain people in the world, and based on a personality standpoint, that they're habitual creatures. I myself am a creature of habit. However, I have had to learn to embrace change, because without change, really there can be there's either going to be very little or no growth if there's no change.
Right.
And so and that could be with anything. That could be in the professional world, in the job sector. That could be just with yourself, just from a mental, emotional standpoint, from a physical standpoint. If there is no change, then progression is either halted or it's slowed to a crawl. So I think that embracing change is something that everyone needs to do, even though it may be uncomfortable. Which it may be uncomfortable for a good reason. It may be uncomfortable because your habits are slowing you down or holding you back. That's all I got.
Well, the reason why I wanted to get that out is because I actually don't. I believe that change doesn't happen. Like, I don't believe what we call change. I don't believe that evolving or maturing or like what I like to call uncovering who you are. I don't think that that's changed, because that's organically who you are,
right,
and you mature to that.
Yeah.
I think whenever there's a change is when there is a total reconstruction or a total renewing of something, or a total change or a total restructuring of who that person is.
Yeah.
And I think that that's rare that a person changes. Like, I think we don't change from a physical state. The only time we change from a physical state is when we transition to the other side. I think that we spend a lot of time preparing actually for that transition, but I think a lot of the reasons why we struggle with embracing quote unquote change is because we still struggle with who we are. A lot of times people claim that they know who they are, but for the most part, a lot of people only know the perception of them that was given to them by either some type of human interaction or some type of supernatural or spiritual interaction. That's how people believe who they really are. So when you talk about a person going through a process of developing their own voice and living to their own voice, sometimes they reject that voice only because they question their decisions, because they have been conditioned to question their decisions, but also because they have grown so codependent on other people's voices that they don't know what their voice is like. So when you talk about what they're really talking about, change is taking ownership of your own life. When we're really talking about change, it's really just being accountable for all of your actions and maturing to who you are. It's not change, it's evolving.
Yeah.
And a lot of us are resistant to maturing because we want to stay in that childlike state. Yeah. It's comfort there. It's easy to be taken care of. It's easy for people to think for you. It's easy for people to do for you. It's so easy to do that. And it takes a level of maturity to evolve to a state or to a place where you can accept you and your voice.
Yeah. No, I agree with all that, brother. I agree with all that. And I definitely agree that what we call change may not be change actually at all. It may just be growth. So I definitely agree with that. And we've had discussion about that before. So.
Yeah.
But do you feel like some people don't want to change? I mean, because like some people may have went through that process like previously and may have like an emotional or mental like challenges with changing and probably develop a fear of it.
I think what changed my perspective is when I was studying my master's. I tell you about I took a dope psychology class. I took it by accident, but it was amazing. And one of the things that he talked about is change. And so we got into this deep discussion about change, right? And so he basically said, no, change is when there is a physical change in your condition. And that doesn't happen. The only time that happens is transition. He said, so what do we call change? And so he walked across the room. He stood at the door, right? And he said, then he stood at the door. He said, where am I? They said, you're at the door. Then he went to the back of the room. They said, where are you? He said, they said, you're in the back of the room in the corner. He said, did I change or did I move?
Oh, wow.
And so a lot of people said, well, you changed your position. He said, changing your position is movement. He said, so people confuse the illusion of change with change. So movement is the illusion of change that we sometimes call change. So just because I'm progressing, that doesn't mean I change.
Right.
That means I'm moving.
Right.
So maturity is nothing more than an extension of us moving. Evolving is nothing more than an extension of us moving. And so we don't ever change until we transition.
That's super deep.
I need that psychology.
Yeah, that's deep right there.
Hey y'all, look, Sean Stewart on. What's going on?
What's up, Sean?
We
man?
got Tara on. We got Sabrina on. We got
Hey,
Wally
Tara.
on.
What's up, Wally?
Yeah, we got to get Wally back on. It was a powerful discussion last week.
Yes, it
We got
was.
Troy on. We got my cousin David on. What's going on, y'all?
What's up, y'all?
Hey.
Okay, so that was a lot.
Yeah, nah, that was. Oh no.
You lost your spot?
Yeah, I did.
See? You talking all that junk about me.
Oh man, could you? Oh man. Yeah, I don't know what the next one is. Go ahead, Jay. I gotta get the video again.
Yeah, it was what was it? It was Embrace and Change. Okay, the next one was, is there too much pressure on men to perform sexually? Hell yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I'm not tackling this one first. Y'all, somebody else tackle.
We already did. We both said
Oh,
yes.
I thought we were going to expound upon that, but never mind. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
Why, brother?
No, I'm not answering this one first. One of y'all answer this first. I'm not doing that again. Nope, not doing it.
Well, I think because we got the tool that works.
What's up?
Because you think about it, they two really don't have to work. Like, you can throw something down there and be like, it's lube, let's go.
Oh my goodness.
But it can't be the other way around. Like, if that tool ain't working, you got to get a whole new tool. So,
I think a lot of the pressure comes from just expectations, just reading books or watching movies and other things out there, and so you get that idea in your head, like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
no, I think it's just a lot of pressure for a man to perform, because you got to think. I always go back to the statement that Malika said when she was on the show. We prepare men for masculinity, but we don't prepare them for humanity. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that is associated or historically associated with masculinity is being hypersexual.
Yep.
And so if a person can't perform sexually, you already are saying he's not a man.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. There definitely is a lot of pressure, and without getting too deep into it from an illustrative standpoint, I'll say literature and societal pressure definitely are one of the main causes, but also media. I mean, we all see movies where, action movies or whatnot, where at all times, like Jay said, the guy is ready to go. He's ready to do his thing at all times. Doesn't matter. He could be just finished getting shot at, bleeding out, but he's ready to go and lay down.
That actually do happen in the movies, though, if you think about it.
It does.
All sweaty and bloody.
You just came out of a knife fight. You got, you got blood coming out of the side. You just got shot. You got a hole in your shoulder. But you know what? It's some moment and the adrenaline's pumping. You like, man, time to lay down. Let's do it. So it's just, there's a lot. Then you have the adult industry puts all these basically fictitious and glorified images out there, and it creates this huge false perception.
That's how the poem used to be like.
I don't know what he was doing. I was like, what? But yeah, there's all these all these pictures painted. For all these pictures painted that men and all these expectations that are put out there, and there's some young brothers who start viewing that stuff when they're prepubescent. So you're thinking, or not prepubescent, but they're young preteens, 12, 11. They start viewing those things then, or they have older people who are talking to them about that stuff at that point. So yeah, there's a huge amount of pressure, and I think that the most damaging thing out there, or narrative, is like Jay said, that men, young men, old men, and even some boys are always ready to have sex. Like, and if they're not, something's wrong with them. They may not like women. Like, that is the most damaging narrative, and it makes us seem as though we're basically mindless beasts with three things in our mind: food, sex, and money.
Just a phallic.
Yeah.
But there are men out there encouraging that to other men.
That is correct,
and
and they have been, and I find, and in my opinion, they have been subjected to that narrative over and over again, so they're conditioned, so they pass it on. Mm-hmm. It's a toxic. Sorry, I'm going to use the word toxic. It is a problematic heirloom that they're passing on to anybody really that will listen. Their uncle, their nephews, their sons, their anybody. And so yeah, there's a lot of pressure on men to perform sexually, and thankfully now, like a lot of other conversations, we're tackling that and unpacking it.
Well, Wally said that we have to, a man has to please men have to please their women.
Yeah.
It works both ways.
And you heard it. Oh, just dropped it, didn't you? You can just leave. You should have just dropped it and walked off. Tara talking about we grown tonight. And then Uncle Marcus said, along with today's music, social media, film. Yeah. And then Tashia said, great job, Cordell.
Thank you, Tashia.
And then Tara Henry said, there's pressure on both sides. Great day when performance stops and the begins. I will say this, though. to that point, adding into the other conversation, a lot of times that's the only time that a man is a king.
Yeah.
That's the only time that a man is great. That's the only time that a man is esteemed. Because if every day you are struggling just to live, a lot of times we try to control what we can control and make the best out of what we can make the best out of. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes that is the only place where that is our heaven on earth. That is the only place that we feel like somebody. So when we talk about passing it on, a lot of times it is like, hey, life is going to be hard. You better master this because this is the only way you can make it through. And so me and my wife always talk about this because being somebody who was molested, sex was always different for me. Yeah, I had a lot of it, and I only slept with women just because it was a thing to do, really. Mm-hmm. It was never an emotional thing like what they're talking about, like, ooh, this is how I feel. But when I got married, I had to start feeling that emotion and had to start thinking about her needs. But for me, the introduction to it wasn't a great one.
Right.
And so I didn't get that emotional charge or that emotional connection. It was something that I had to learn and talk to my wife about, and we still talk about it. Mm-hmm. Because the scars of certain things do impact people differently. Yep. And so for the longest, when people have those conversations, it did make me feel like, but dog, I must not be a man then. Mm-hmm. And then on top of it, wrestling with the fact, well, if I'm not a man, then that must mean I caused the molestation to be on me. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of those things that just are packed up in that we do have to think about. But I do realize that some men are hypersexual because that's the only place that they can perform and be esteemed. Usually they're not esteemed in life, but we do have people who have been introduced to that part. And so a lot of them are having it because they feel like, this is what I felt like. I felt like with every sexual encounter I had with a woman, that will wash away the fact that I was molested. But it didn't. I had to sit down and deal with it one day and really deal with it like, no, at the end of the day, I am who I am, and that doesn't define me.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that, before we leave the topic, that reminds me of, and I'm sure both of y'all heard this before. Y'all ever heard? Y'all ever heard the idea that the man that has the best sexual performance is the man that's broke and doesn't have anything else going for himself or whatnot, or living on his mom's couch and this and that?
I've heard that.
Right. So what that makes me think of is that, from a sense of, like you're saying, Jay, that may be he may be so good at it because that may be the only thing he feels like he excels at in life.
Right.
And that he may not feel confident going out and doing anything else or selling it any other way because that's the only thing. And it might even be an emotional thing too. He might be so just beat down by life that he's like, well, at least I can do this.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are impacting it, and I think that sometimes we are quick to judge because we also base things off of our experiences, not realizing that somebody else has their own story and have their own experience, and it may be totally different. So they may be hypersexual, but they also may be hurting.
Right.
They may be hypersexual, but they're not aggressive. They may be hypersexual, but they might be struggling with depression. So a lot of times we don't have that conversation. We quickly judge, and we do put men in a box. We put all men in the box. We expect good men to cheat. We expect good men to have kids out of wedlock. And when the dog is performed as a man, we expect the man to be a dog, so we esteem that. Mm-hmm. And then we'll say on the other side, you want a man's man. Well, what is a man's man? What is the message that we're telling? Because now not only do you have men pushing that narrative, you have women pushing that narrative of they want a man, a real man.
Yeah.
So what is that real man narrative that they're talking about? A lot of times, it's the very thing that they say that they don't want. It's the hypersexual, hyper-aggressive man. Like, I want somebody to handle me. You hear it all the time. Women talk about, I get an attitude on purpose just so he can check me. Mm-hmm. What kind of domestic violence?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I wasn't that type of woman.
Oh, you just don't do stuff just to get You gonna tell that into all the people?
Oh my goodness!
You gonna say this in front of a live studio audience? She lying. Why you always lying?
Okay, you get me.
See? Look, so Isaiah said some women want it once a month, some want it once a day. And Nichelle said it's definitely pressure. And then Tashia said great handle on the topic. Okay, thank you, boss. And Pooch is on my brother. My brother, Algeron Drake, is on. What's going on?
What's up, man?
And then Chanel Parsons said there is a meme of that. It's a list. And then Isaiah said, every woman I've talked about it, they say that that's true. Mm-hmm. And then while they say I agree, people become addicted to sex because they feel it's the only part of their life to control. Wally, I don't know what's going on because you've been agreeing with me a lot lately. I'm kind of scared. Is the world about to end? No, I'm joking with you.
So, we got time for one more?
Dog, that hour went by fast.
Yeah, it did.
But you know what? We started a little bit late, that's why.
Yeah.
So we owe them about 6 minutes, so we can go a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, I guess the last one will be, how do you deal with problematic relatives? For example, your mother.
Cut them off. Cut them off. Cut them off.
Go ahead, sis.
I don't discriminate.
So I was telling him he got that cut off.
Let it go.
He just cut people off, period.
Cancel culture.
Check, please.
With me, it was more so I had to process it and like deal with it internally, deal with it myself, and then address the problem, because if I go and address it right away, it just will do a lot of damage. But I would have that conversation with them eventually to let them know like how they offended me or the problem and issues that they has caused, because at the end of the day, like, I need to release that, and they need to know that the damage that they have done or that they can possibly do to somebody else.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. They need to know.
Yeah.
I'm not cut off, spirit.
Okay, but for real, like, think about this for a minute, though, guys. Like, we're so quick to let a friend go if they mistreat us. But why do we hold on to a family member because they mistreat us? Oh, because they're family?
Yeah.
You like, oh, we're family, so at the end of the day, we stick together. But you're friends, so at the end of the day, your friends should stick together. So I'm like this. I don't want to be in any type of negative environment. And I'm not going to have a whole bunch of conversations with you, because if you know me, we've already had an intimate conversation about my expectations. I'm not going to regurgitate my expectations to you. What I'm going to do is walk out the door. And you may or may not see me no more. And it's okay. And when you ask me what happened, I'll call and say, yep, you disrespect me on that day. And then let me know that we can't coexist together. And that's okay. I'm not saying hold a grudge, but if you have a standard and you have an expectation and people don't meet that expectation, you have every right to make a decision. But whatever decision you make, stick by that decision. But don't be sitting at home mad. No, because I go on with my life.
Yeah.
I forget. Let me tell you this. I done cut them off. I forget why I'm mad at them. All I know is I done cut the person off, and I'm not talking to them no more. I done delete them out my phone, so it ain't no accident call or dial or nothing like that. Yeah. So I definitely believe that you should do it. And here's the other thing. I done cut people off that I still talk to.
Tell me about how that works, brother.
Man, let me tell you. I will engage into a conversation with you, and once there's too many levels of disrespect, I'm not going to have the same conversation over and over again. I make up in my mind like, oh, this is what we're doing. I'm done. And I talk to you every day, but in my mind and in my soul, in my spirit, you just cut off. Don't worry about it. Don't even sleep hard thinking about it.
Yeah.
No,
that too. Yeah.
I definitely agree that removing yourself from, especially if that family member is going to just, if they're just going to keep doing it, removing yourself from those interactions, and what my brother Jay calls it, a reduction of interactions. I love that term. So I definitely believe that. Now, my go-to when I was younger was to just kind of avoid the family member, because that was my go-to when I was younger. One, probably because I didn't have much of a choice, and also because that was really the only action that I could really take, that I had control over. But now as an adult, when I have all of the control, I will address it once and say, hey, this is, I feel this way, this and that. After that, like Brother Jay said, there's no more there's no more interactions after that.
Cut off.
Because just like you can make a choice, if that family member chooses to keep on disrespecting, crossing whatever line that you have set for yourself and for the boundaries that you set for yourself, they made a choice too.
Right.
That choice is to hell with how you feel and your boundaries. I'm gonna keep doing what I want to do. Okay,
Right.
That's you know what, and like your brother Jay said, that's perfectly fine. Keep doing you. I'm gonna be over here.
It's okay to separate
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm gonna be over here, and y'all are related by blood, and that's all well and good. But they don't care about that, so why should you? Really?
Yeah,
And
my cutoff don't discriminate. It is an equal opportunity cutoff.
yeah, and so I can be cordial. I can be cordial to people which I don't particularly care for all the time. I'll be cordial. I'll say hi, and I'll say hope you have the kind of day you're gonna have. I love that phrase, by the way. That goes from power. Hope you're gonna have the kind of day that you're gonna have. Don't have a nice day. Don't have a bad day. Have whatever kind of day that you're gonna have.
Use that.
Yeah, that is so middle of the road. I love it. But yeah, and
Yeah.
you don't have to be ugly to that person. You don't have to disrespect them like they disrespected you. You can be cordial, say hi, and then you don't have to say nothing else. Or the interactions can be it. That
Yep.
can be it. And so I feel like, how do you deal with that? You address the issue, and then if it's not resolved to your satisfaction, you have every right to remove yourself from them and from that area, from all the other interactions that could take place.
And it still be cordial.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
A lot of times we want, I say this all the time, a lot of times we don't want closure, we don't want separation. A lot of times we just want revenge. We want them to feel the pain, we want to check them, we want all of that. See, when I say that I cut somebody off, what I'm saying is not that I'm going to avoid them, not that I'm not going to be around them. I stop investing emotionally in them.
Right.
The most valuable thing that I have is my emotional investment, and I'm not going to waste my valuables on someone who mistreats that. So I take that emotional investment back, I tuck it deep down, and I give it to the people that's worth investing in. And I will tell you that, you will no longer have emotional access to me if you continue on this path. I'm not going to be all dramatic with it. It's going to be like I done told you. So you already know. Wally say he don't disagree with us. Uncle Marcus say he agree with me. See, Uncle Marcus said it. He say toxic is toxic.
Hey.
Parents, siblings, friends, coworkers.
I know uncles like that because one of Uncle's favorite phrases, I'd say it's the book of Johnson, chapter 1, verse 1. His favorite phrase is, "You gonna need me before I need you."
Guess what? I don't even care. I don't care who need who. I don't even talk. I'm gone. And I be like, yep, we're going to do a reduction of interaction. And when I say a reduction of interaction, it ain't going to be no joke, kiki, haha, no text message going back and forth, none of that. Because you disrespected me, and we've talked about it, and you had ample opportunity to rectify the situation. And when you ask me, I say, yeah. We're not there no more.
Yeah.
Isaiah say he can't cut nobody off, though. That's blood. It's hard because of him personally. He think about them whether he don't talk to them or not. Yeah, I don't think about them once I cut them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no longer a thought.
I mean,
I get what you're saying because I'm like that as well.
You think about it?
You
think about them, boo?
Didn't we just have this conversation?
Okay.
Was it over the weekend?
Who we thought about? Who we thought about? You thought about somebody, or I thought about somebody? You.
It was me.
Oh. Yeah.
And you asked me why do I even care?
See?
Okay.
Because there was no emotional investment. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, why do you even care about that?
Right.
So my only question to Isaiah would be, and I understand what you're saying when you say you think about them, but do you think about disrespect too?
Well, and look, Nichelle is kind of going into that. Nichelle said, what about when they don't think or feel like they've done any damage? Well, here's the thing, Nichelle. It ain't for them to figure out. It's for you. You don't have to convince somebody that they disrespected you.
Right.
You the only one who defined your disrespect. If they disrespected you, they disrespected you. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to go through all of that. I'm not going to go through a whole conversation of telling somebody you disrespected me. No, I'm going to tell you disrespected me. You don't have any right to say you didn't. If you continue, Nichelle, you have every right.
Mm-hmm.
It's about protecting yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I'm trying to tell you. Spend some more time with me. I'm going to show you how to cut people off. Tara talking about sip tea. Shut up, because I know what she's talking about. She say disrespect me is an absolute choice. I'm pretty transparent. So you choose. Bye. Sherry on. She said, sister.
Hey, Sherry.
Hey, sis.
Roger going, what's up, bro?
Hey, brother.
And Sherry said, reduce them by the 5th degree. See?
Yeah. No.
And she said, we talked about that in church. Oh, y'all talked about this in church tonight. Oh, and Roger said that's powerful. I don't know what part is powerful, but he said it. Chanel says sometimes that's hard with adults because we're taught to respect our elders also, but after a while, that gets real. That is respect. Me staying in a dangerous situation, allowing you to disrespect me, ooh, that's just dangerous on both of us. I might be locked up, they might be hurt. It's just a horrible place for us to be. Know your limitations, know what you can take, and remove yourself. You don't have to make an exit like, I'm out. You just grab your stuff and say, I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good night. Yeah. And I done that several times and they ain't seen me no more.
You know what? It's hard because what you're doing is that you're caring about other people's feelings, and I understand that and get that. I mean, because I went through that too. Like, what how would that make them feel? How
Stop caring. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that you got to care about yourself as well and how it's affecting you.
Yep, care about y'all. See, that same logic that y'all do with love that we say self-love is corporate love, and y'all try to argue with me talking about, no, I gotta love me first. No, you gotta respect you first. How about that one?
Yeah.
Respect you first because that's showing love to them.
Yeah.
Y'all just don't know. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Respect you first because that's showing love to them.
And before we move any further, I will say to Chanel's comment about respecting your elders, that is one of those things that we were all brought up with, or not all, but that quite a few people were brought up with, where when they really mean by respect your elders is
take the abuse.
Is exactly. And so respecting your elders, they don't mean to respect, talk to them kindly, or recognize that they're a little older. They mean that let them abuse,
say whatever they want.
Yeah, let them abuse you because they're older than you and they may have grown up with you. No, we not bump that.
All of them can shut up.
Bump that. And just because somebody's older than you or they may be your elder doesn't mean that you have to take their abuse in the name of some kind of misguided aspect of respect. And if we really are if we're gonna also dive into that, I will say that being an elder means that, in my opinion, that's something that as an older person you have to earn anyway. Just because you old or you're older than everybody else around you don't mean you're an elder. Being an elder means that, in my opinion, means that you are respecting people and passing on really positive energy and positive knowledge anyway. So if you're out here disrespecting people because you're older than them, are you really an elder? Or are you really just an older, nasty person?
You mean, are you an old, nasty kid? Is that what he meant to say?
Exactly. Word.
Uncle Marcus said, you can think, because he emphasized think, all caps. You can think about them, but that doesn't mean you have to engage in the toxities. Yeah. So I agree. Yeah. Nichelle said, teach me your ways. I will. Kerwin said, facts on top of facts on top of facts. I just know he agreed with me. Nichelle said, because I need to cut some folks off. She said her cousin said that she's too, she cared too much.
Nichelle is really nice. She has a good heart. She really is really, really nice.
I got a good heart too.
You do, Jay.
I was just saying.
No, that ain't got nothing to do with heart. That's emotional. That's a soul tie. I'm trying to tell you. Mm-hmm. That's really just a soul tie. That has nothing to do with your heart. Yeah. Because that's slavery.
I think it's both.
I think it's slavery. You slave to somebody else's emotions. You are denying yourself to please somebody else. How's that hard? That's abuse. I'm just saying. Look, silent treatment. Abuse. She said she gonna beat my... Sherry, I'm seeing it. Okay, Isaiah said, but when someone dies, I see them at a funeral and I think about the good times we did have. Then think about them and pictures around the house and photo albums with them. I can't see no more. Photo albums with them. It's hard. And then Tara said, word, what is an elder? Get it, Cordell. And then they talking about, that's right. That's right. An elder don't make you mature.
No, it doesn't. It's a title.
Well, we got to stop now, y'all. Yeah. Ooh, let me see.
You got to earn that.
See, Chanel said, break the shackles, leader.
That's right. That's right.
Chanel, I'm going to need you to come help me. Look. You beautiful.
Aww.
Positive brother shout out. It's that time. Lita. Go.
Of course, to my husband.
Of course, I'm your husband.
You're my husband, my best friend. So shout out to you for everything that you're doing. Shout out to my brother over here. Shout out to my... I'm not going to get myself in trouble. To my big brother. What?
Who's this big brother?
My big brother, Algernon.
That's my brother.
Drake.
That's my brother.
I already told you.
I give you my brothers for him. All of them except my younger brothers.
No.
Okay. I give you 4 for 1. Okay.
Never.
All right.
Who else I can think of? My brother Mike Brown.
My brother. What the hell she's thinking of my brothers?
Okay, your turn.
All my brothers she took.
First and foremost, I always have to shout out my brother Jay. You know, we're here every week doing what we do, and it don't even feel right if I'm not here on a Thursday doing this, ending my night off here at the residence of Mr. Brother Love himself. So
except the whole month of December and half of January.
that ain't feel right either. So I definitely have to shout out my brother Jay. I love what we're doing and what we come here to do every week. That's my guy. I love that dude. I love. Also, let me shout out Uncle Marcus.
My uncle.
Shout out him. You know, he's got 8,000 nephews.
Nope.
Some biological, some not. But shout out Uncle Marcus. Shout out all the other brothers.
He's not biological.
Shout out all the other brothers here on the live. Sean, Kerwin, Roderick, all you brothers. Also, I also want to shout out, you know, to take a little different approach, I also want to shout out all the brothers right now who are on a journey of growth and improvement, and they are having those days where sometimes they feel like they're not getting anywhere or they're taking a couple steps back. I want to shout out you guys, because on that journey, it's not going to be always positive. It's not going to be, you know, flowers and sunshine every day. There's some days where you're going to feel like you're stuck, or you're going to feel like you need to talk to someone because you don't know if you're doing it right. So shout out to y'all brothers, and know that if you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, know that, you know, me and Jay are here. But I just want to shout y'all out, because that's a hard journey, man. It's not easy, and it's hard to really look at yourself and dissect yourself and realize that there is more. That's hard, because in a way, sometimes you want to look at it and say that you're not enough, or that, you know, you're not good enough. But no, it's just you want to, you know, you're on a journey of self-improvement to be better. So shout out y'all, because that's not easy, and everyone around you is going to be better for it, as well as you are going to be better for it. So, yeah.
I couldn't have said it better. I definitely agree. And when you were saying that, the one person that I always think about with that makes me want to do better is like Kerwin Pittman.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are talking about inclusion and about their community.
Yep.
But this is the only person that I see religiously out there marching and advocating for people. People that he don't even know, but just in the name of community, wholeness, and togetherness, he's out there.
Yep.
And I always sit there and think, like, what are some other ways that I can engage? And he does it. He's a man of action, and he'll do it alone. I done seen him stand out in the rain in his suit. I done seen him stand out in the sun in his suit, speaking with integrity, speaking about other people. And there are other people who say that they're about community, who can speak against the injustices, who has a larger platform, and they don't use it. But Kerwin uses everything that he has to protect and uplift people daily. And I tell him all the time, and this is not nothing I'm saying publicly just to say it. I tell him this in private, like, he inspires me every day to go hard and to do more. With that, Love is a Parable family, Cordell, Uncle Marcus, brothers, I appreciate you. Roderick, I appreciate you. It's so many of y'all. Wally, I appreciate you. It's just time for us to take it to the next level. Grab a brother. Don't let a brother suffer in silence, because a lot of us are. And a lot of us are smiling while suffering. So reach out to those brothers. Isaiah, we love you, man.
Yep,
it's just time to take things to a whole nother level and just be stronger together. Don't look for reasons to divide. Look for reasons to connect.
Yep.
And if, like we always say, if you don't feel like anybody in this world love you, at least you know 3 people today that love you. Oh, and we got official emails, dawg. You can email us at jadawaynegarnett@loveisaparable.com.
Lalita L. Garnett
at
gmail.com.
loveisaparable.com.
gmail.com.
Loveisaparable.com. Go, Cordell.
Cordell Gibson at loveisaparable.com.
We official, dog. Love y'all. Good night.
See y'all next week.